southwest of our location. Over.
Copy.
Coming down.
Y después yo me pongo a pensar.
In a coma. Doctors doubted he would make it. I was unconscious.
Is essential. Law enforcement does have the capabilities to assess what is real and what is not real, but you're going to see a lot more action if there were real bona fide ransom notes in. And right now, we're just not seeing. Again, we're not seeing that activity.
If those had come in prior to the widespread pickup of this incident,
you'd see a different posture by law enforcement. What you wouldn't see is the frustration and uncertainty today in today's press conference. You would actually see basically a TikTok of where the investigation is today, the actions that they're taking, not this vacillation of I don't know, we're unsure, we were sure yesterday, we're not sure now. Again, this is not a criticism of law enforcement, it's just a reality of the pressures of these types of investigations when time is critical.
Casey, first of all, Casey, just from your experience, what stands out to you? What are the data points of you think are significant, and what we know and don't know?
Well, we seem to know a lot less than we do know, and now that we're coming up on 72 hours, this is really unusual. What bothers me is that there just is no video or digital evidence. There's cameras, but you would think if they had any imagery that they wanted to show to the public, it would be out there. They said there are no footprints, there are no tires. This would indicate to me that this was incredibly well planned, and that would suggest that it was targeted. Walking that back. What are the chances this is just an unhinged random intruder who kidnapped an 84-year-old lady? Anderson, kidnappers rarely take old folks who cannot walk more than 150 feet, or babies, because they are a liability. They're high maintenance. They need taking care of if you want to keep them alive and get a ransom. So, yes, we have reports of ransom demands, but I would put money on the fact that they're all pranksters at this point. Generally, if you want to present a ransom demand, you give it directly to the family or the FBI, not to TMZ. And I have to say, I've been wondering if they have holdbacks that they're not letting us have. maybe they're negotiating with kidnappers behind the scenes and all of this is a red herring. But I don't think so. I think truly, as of this evening, we have no idea where she
Linda,
is or
okay.
if she's even officially kidnapped for ransom.
So, Jonathan, just in terms of what you would be doing in an investigation like this at this stage, given all the limitations, first of all, the fact that a lot of these homes are set back from the road, the idea that there's going to be ring cameras that show, people walking or driving down that road.
Okay.
That clearly not.
Well,
it's not
here
that
she's
kind
been
of
coming
No,
over
it
here.
definitely is not. We've
It's
seen
gotta be
recent
that
investigations where those ring cameras actually show a direct pathway of a potential
the
suspect.
Brown University shooting.
Exactly my point. We don't have that right now. So what are investigators looking at, right? When they think about a threat, they think about means, opportunity, and intent to cause harm. Now, in this case, they really need to look at opportunity. Who had the opportunity to go to the house after 8 or 9 o'clock on Saturday night, get into the house? So who knew that Miss Guthrie was vulnerable? Who knew that she was there? Who knew that they could potentially have access to her? That starts limiting down your pool of potential suspects. Now you take that and you start creating this victimology, which is a law enforcement assessment process of seeing where there were vulnerable points, patterns of behavior that intersect with those people who may have opportunity, and that's how you start.
What's interesting about that is it does not seem like the neighborhood where a car sitting on the street for days monitoring somebody's comings and goings would go unnoticed. I mean, it's not like a busy street in New York City.
Exactly. I mean, they may be hiding in plain sight, but that's not the neighborhood. We just saw with Ed's reporting how wide open those roads were and the setbacks of the homes. So,
Wacko, I appreciate it. Casey Jordan as well. Up next, I'll get an update on the search for Ms. Guthrie from the lead detective of the Pima County Attorney's Office. Later, Senator Mark Kelly joins us after he gets his day in court. What a judge today made of Defense Secretary Hegseth's attempt to reduce the senator's and former astronaut's rank over the video he made telling service members they could refuse unlawful orders.
It's Pod's Epic Savings Event. Save up to 25% on moving and storage until February 16th and see why Pods is America's #1 container moving company. Whether you're relocating or renovating, save up to 25% at pods.com today.
When you need longer-lasting body pain relief, try Aleve. Just one dose of Aleve provides pain relief for up to 12 hours from all types of body pain. Aleve, longer-lasting body pain relief.
We know why you've put off your best smile. The time, the cost, the anxiety. That's why Aspen Dental is changing how dentistry is done, with technology to make care comfortable and flexible hours to fit your life, all at an affordable price. New patients without insurance get an exam and x-rays for just $29. Not waiting for tomorrow. That's the Aspen Dental difference. Aspen Dental. It's time to smile again.
United Healthcare knows you've got your whole life ahead of you. Whatever comes next, you can count on United Healthcare to be there with reliable Medicare coverage.
Aw, she's got your smile. Carl. Yep, your #1 broker's here to welcome your new little dependent.
Actually, we invest with Schwab now. They have everything we need all in one place.
I can set up her college fund.
I've been learning about the trading strategies.
Schwab helps me generate retirement income. All this Schwab is everything you need. It's making me cranky.
Does somebody need a match?
Schwab!
Invest your way with Schwab. Zepbound may help in your weight loss journey. Once weekly, Zepbound helps adults with obesity lose weight and keep it off.
Don't take it for allergic to it, or if you or someone in your family had medullary thyroid cancer or multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Tell your doctor if you get a lump or swelling in your neck. Stop Zepbound and call your doctor if you have severe stomach pain or a serious allergic reaction. Severe side effects may include inflamed pancreas or gallbladder problems. Tell your doctor if you experience vision changes, depression, or suicidal thoughts before scheduled procedures with anesthesia. If you're nursing, pregnant, plan to be, or taking birth control pills.
Taking Zepbound with sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Side effects include nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting, which can cause dehydration and worsen kidney problems. Ask your healthcare provider about once weekly Zepbound and check your coverage today at Zepbound.com.
Yuka is my family, he's my son, which is why their health is so important. My cat Henry has brought me so much joy, and he deserves to have the healthiest life possible.
Bruce means the world to me because he is my baby, and he deserves nothing but the best.
Smalls is made with high-protein, conservative-free ingredients that I can actually recognize on the label.
Loves it. He's obsessed with it.
Other cat food brands put so much junk in their food, and I don't want to be like that, which is why I'm choosing to feed my cat Smalls.
Everything comes out amazing.
It literally tastes like it just came out of a restaurant. This is incredible.
This thing is a lifesaver.
Discover the only system of chef-crafted meals, smart oven, and app that makes cooking as simple as scanning a QR code. With Tabala, you can easily explore a wide array of meals, artfully crafted by talented chefs. It's like, well, magic. No mess, no prep, just effortless meals that are ready to go. Discover the magic of Tabala today.
But I got news for you. New episode Saturday at 9 on CNN, and next day on the CNN app.
Here more in tonight's breaking news. The disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mom, Nancy. The Pima County Sheriff's Office acknowledging reports of possible ransom notes tied to the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother and saying they're taking all tips and leads seriously. They now have about 100 detectives, they say, working on the case. Joining us is Fabian Pacheco, Chief of Detectives at the Pima County Attorney's Office. Chief Pacheco, I appreciate your time. I know you are helping run point on the tips coming in from the public. How many tips has law enforcement received so far?
Well, Anderson, thank you so much for having me on your show and for taking the time. I oversee the 8 Crime program, which is an anonymous tip reporting system here that's based out of the Pima County Attorney's Office. We are working closely in assisting the Pima County Sheriff's Departments with a huge number of tips that we have received for the past 2 days. These tips are coming from across the country, not just locally, and they're being forwarded immediately to the investigative detectives. Now, as indicated earlier, the Pima County Sheriff's Department is the lead agency investigating this case, and they are being assisted by the FBI, who's providing analytical and technical support.
So,
it is a difficult case.
Yeah, so, I mean, how do you, given the volume of calls coming in, contacts coming in, and as you said, they're coming from all over, how do you kind of triage them? How do you, I assume you're able to kind of put them in some sort of order of most urgent or most feasible to, more something we'll get to later.
Yes, absolutely. Those are all forwarded, like I mentioned. The Pima County Sheriff's Department set up an intel unit, a group of detectives specifically sticking to all these tips. Now, naturally, some have limited information, some you can quickly assess that don't represent much credible information. But there have been a number of tips coming forward that they spend some time looking into. So they triage them. They find, they determine after reading what the tipster is reporting whether this tip is something they need to send out detectives to the area or contact these people directly, maybe give more additional information, that sort of thing. So they are going through them pretty quickly. So we have gotten in excess of 100.
In excess of 100. You're a former homicide detective. I mean, have you ever seen a case in which an elderly woman was taken from her home as she slept, or taken against her will from her home as she slept?
No, this is a first for me. I know we've had a number of high-profile cases here in Tucson and Pima County. They are challenging, and they're very difficult. I know that we all have a lot of questions, and we're working. Detectives are working diligently, tirelessly to get answers to those questions. But first and foremost, we want to locate Nancy and bring her back to her family. And for that, we're relying on the public, as we do oftentimes in these types of cases. there may be people out in the community that have information regarding her disappearance or abduction. We're reaching out to them. We want them to please come forward, provide that information to the Pima County Sheriff tip line, or if they choose, if they're more comfortable reporting to the 88 crime tip line and remain anonymous, that's also another avenue for them. So we're encouraging people to please continue to send those tips, regardless of what they think. If they have some value or not, we have the detectives that are going to make that determination.
Chief Pacheco, I appreciate your time and your efforts. We've been putting the numbers on the screen. Thank you so much. I wish you luck and speed in the investigation. Coming up next, even as the people around him try to soften the president's demand for some kind of federal takeover of elections in 15 states, the president undoes the spin, and we'll keep him on. We'll be right back.
I wish I wasn't afraid to smile.
I wish I could get implants. I wish I knew who to trust. I'm not looking for another quick fix.
I want a smile I know will last. Clear Choice smiles are made to stand the test of time. They're built by dental implant experts, backed by 20 years of pioneering research and a lifetime warranty on premium arches. Our smiles are built for life. Schedule your free consultation today.
Real strength isn't pushing through pain, it's treating it. When there's no pain, there's more gain. Advil Liquid Gel's target pain caused by inflammation for fast, strong relief. Advil, that's real strength.
Oh, hi. Work here. I know I've been a little unreasonable. Okay, a lot unreasonable. Ugh, I'm so clingy. But I got some help from UKG, and I'm like AI smart now. I'm ready to think about our future. Try new things together. I'll even be more flexible with your time. Look at us. It just feels right.
Here's Chris Cunningham with the Leaf Filter Got a Report.
From blizzards and downpours to windstorms or heat waves, no matter where you live, Leaf Filter keeps your gutters clogged free year-round. Schedule your free inspection today. Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or visit leaffilter.com.
What?
It's a crocodile.
You know what? I lost the controller for my television too.
You should try one.
You got two of them?
They're tasty and healthy.
You got two of them? The small one? Yeah, I lost the controller for my TV. I don't know what happened to it.
I did not think this through.
No, I looked for it in here today. After I was feeling better, I took my clothes off, nothing. I don't know what happened to it.
Shame about your swollen gums. You need parodontax, clinically proven to help reverse all signs of early gum disease. The gum experts.
The monkey stole my brain.
Well, you think you know something. But one day, they make an unexpected leap. It's like finding out E-Trade is running with Morgan Stanley, so you can invest and bank under one roof. Remarkable.
The difference is Dario Cadillac in Shelton. Choose from an impressive selection of new Cadillac models in stock, including Cadillac XD4, XD5, XD6, and Escalade. Or choose from an exceptional selection of certified pre-owned Cadillac vehicles available now. The difference is Dario. Shop DarioCadillac.com.
What is happening here? Xfinity's got me so immersed in Team USA that I'm trying to create the Winter Olympics fever that I'm feeling on the inside, on the outside.
It's a lot. And I dig it. What are the gold medals for?
You're the best I've ever seen watching sports. Check the medal count, click on any Olympic space.
Is there anything else I should know about?
The Source, tonight at 9 on CNN, and watch on the CNN app.
Keep it honest tonight, a simple notion that the President of the United States actually means what he says, not what his collection of spokespeople or supporters or friends or hangers-on say he means, what he really says, his actual words. For example, and yes, it's admittedly an extreme example, these words.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute. That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. The office of President of the United States.
That was the president's second inauguration, and no one raced in front of the cameras afterward to explain that he did not really mean that, because that would be preposterous. Yet somehow, when it comes to so much else the president has said since then, that's exactly what we've seen the people around him do. Most recently, today, over this.
The Republicans should say, we want to take over, we should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. And then we have states that are so crooked, and they're counting votes. We have states that I won that show I didn't win. Now you're going to see something in Georgia where they were able to get with a court order the ballots. You're going to see some interesting things come out. But, like the 2020 election. I won that election by so much.
First, quickly and obviously, no, he did not win the 2020 election, but he's been saying that part for years. The part about nationalizing the elections, though, which Article 1 and Section 4 of the Constitution says are to be left to the states, that certainly is new. And presumably, for many people, troubling enough that it was not long before the people around him were explaining what he really meant.
Said specifically that they should take over elections in 15 states. Can you tell us what he meant by that? What 15 states he's referring to in terms of Republicans taking over elections?
Again, what I was just telling you is that with the passage of the SAVE Act, voter ID will be implemented across all 50 states. The president was referring to specific states in which we have seen a high degree of fraud. There are millions of people who have questions about that, as does the president. He wants to make it right, and the SAVE Act is a solution to doing it.
Well, first of all, historically, not a high degree of fraud in states. Millions of people may have questions about that, but that's because the president has been lying about it for years. Second, the SAVE Act is legislation that the president and Republicans are pushing for, but it's a voter ID measure and does not call for taking over elections, which is what you heard the president say he wants. Now, keep in mind, what Carolyn Levitt was doing, it seems, was spinning, not to mention reading from talking points. Here's House Speaker Johnson essentially doing the same.
The president is expressing his frustration about the problems we have in some of these blue states, where election integrity is not always guaranteed. So we have to figure out solutions to that problem, and that's what I think the Save America
Take over?
Well, in case you're wondering, if Senate Majority Leader John Thune also got the talking points that the president was not really calling for a federal election takeover, listen.
I think the president has clarified what he meant by that, and that is that he supports the SAVE Act. So with respect to whether or not that signifies ensuring that only citizens of this country vote in our elections, that's something I think we all agree with.
Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson, Press Secretary Levitt certainly agree on that, namely that the president did not mean what he said about nationalizing elections. And then, after all that explaining today, all the hard work they were doing by those three and more, CNN's Caitlin Collins asked the president directly about it while he was in the Oval Office sitting in front of a group of Republican lawmakers.
What exactly did you mean when you said that you should nationalize elections? And which 15 states are you talking
I want
about?
to see elections be honest. And if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it. Because, if you think about it, a state is an agent for the federal government in elections. I don't know why the federal government doesn't do them anyway. But when you see some of these states about how horribly they run their elections, what a disgrace it is, the federal government should get involved. These are agents of the federal government to count the votes. If they can't count the votes legally and honestly, then somebody else should take over.
You'll notice in answer to Caitlin's direct question, he didn't say anything about voter ID laws in all 50 states. He said the federal government should take over the counting of the votes. We edited out some of it for time because it went on, but no mention of voter ID. About 8 minutes earlier, in opening remarks, he did, however, mention voter ID, saying we should have voter ID, and he talked about how Democrats don't even know, in his opinion, how to explain why they don't want it. Joining us now is conservative radio host Eric Hicks, good to have you on the program. You heard the president doubling down on the calls to nationalize elections, which is unconstitutional. Should Americans take that opinion, threat, those comments seriously? Where do you think this is heading?
Well, yes and no. I was an elections lawyer in Georgia in a former life, and the second part of Article 1, Section 4, after saying the states set the laws for elections, is Congress can essentially preempt those laws and pass its own, which the SAVE Act does, but only for voter ID. It's not helpful of the president to have say he wants a federal takeover of elections, whether he needs the SAVE Act or not. I'm not sure he knows all it is voter ID. Congress could actually, if it wanted to, preempt the states, because to a degree, the states are agents of the federal government in carrying out national elections, not local elections. In fact, you can have a set of rules for federal elections and be different from state elections. But the president doesn't seem to understand what the SAVE Act is in this case. It's not a takeover by the federal government, and Congress has never shown a desire to take over state elections, so he can't do it. Maybe he thinks he can, but he can't.
Do you think, does the administration's explanation earlier in the day of the president's comments make sense to you, that this was, what he's really talking about is voter ID? Because
I'm willing to criticize him, but I do actually think that that's what he's talking about, is imposing federal requirements on the states. Right now, every state has a different voter ID requirement, and Republicans...
But if that was true, why 15 states?
Voter ID. Yeah, because those are the 15 states that don't have voter ID, and in fact, in some cases, have same-day voter registration, which the president doesn't like. Ironically, he did win a couple of those states.
The White House said that the President Trump tapped the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, to oversee domestic election security while describing her unusual involvement in that FBI search of the Fulton County election office last week. Does her role in that make sense to you?
Only to the extent she's trying to get back in the president's good graces. She's been gabbarded by the president. Waldo's easier to find than Tulsi Gabbard these days, particularly if there's a national security meeting. So she's trying to make herself relevant, and he's given her something where she can try to be relevant.
Do you think that's why she showed up?
It also shows how the Director of National Intelligence is an infinite job, which is why John Ratcliffe didn't want it. He wanted to be the CIA director, where there's real power. It's a almost figurehead position, and she's trying to figure out a way to use it to get back in good graces. They shut her out of the Venezuela conversations, the Syria conversations. They deny it, but everybody knows it's true. So go down to Georgia and do a dog and pony show to get the president's attention.
You heard the president tease that something, quote, interesting was going to come out of Georgia. Do you have any sense of what that means?
No one in Georgia knows. The Republicans and Democrats alike have no idea what they're talking about. When the president was indicted by Jack Smith, he claimed that if you dig deep enough and broad enough, you'll eventually find something to indict someone with. A good DA can indict a ham sandwich. I guess if they dig long enough, they can find something they think shows a question about the election. The problem is there are always questions about elections. No election is perfect because people run them and people aren't perfect. But they've completely missed overturning the election. This is just score settling with Democrats.
Eric Erickson, it's good to have you on, Eric. Thank you so much. Up next, Senator Mark Kelly in federal court today over his battle with the Pentagon over the so-called illegal orders video. The senator joins us now.
All There Is Live, now streaming at CNN.com/allthereis.
Donnie showed this Senate film mom a clip about her son.
We need to do something about that. Every time, I'm going to show you how to rinse that odor out.
That smells a lot better. Rinse impossible odors out in one wash.
And sold to Carvana.
That was too convenient.
It's a great offer. What's wrong, John?
I set aside a week to sell my car, Clarence. I haven't had free time since 2006.
Isn't free time a good thing?
They pick it up tomorrow and they pay me on the spot. What am I supposed to do with all this time?
You could visit a museum.
All week?
You could learn Italian.
Ho venduto la mia macchina a Carvana.
I just sold my car to Carvana, too. What are we going to do?
He gets it. What are we going to do with all this time? Sell your car to Carvana today.
Machine learning is advancing, but businesses wonder if some machines can keep up.
Let's welcome our new coworker, Jeff.
Copier has a great idea.
Just wonder if it's the same idea as yesterday.
It's a performance issue, really. I know people push your buttons, but you still have to deliver.
Anything can change the world of work. ADP Assist is AI, informed by workplace data, and designed for the next anything.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis? With fewer symptoms from moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, where would you go? Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. And for adults with active psoriatic arthritis, Tremfya goes beyond the skin. Less joint pain, stiffness, and swelling is possible. And Tremfya even reduced fatigue. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. Ask your doctor about Tremfya.
I thought we had a plan for Dad. Then a friend suggested I talk to a place for Mom. My advisor listened and understood his needs and showed us options that were a better fit for Dad. I know we made a better choice.
Connect with us today.
Here's 30 grams of protein in all his favorite flavors. Premier Protein. Shake, twist, crack. Oh, get 'em.
New Sensodyne Clinical Repair is absolutely amazing. When your teeth are sensitive, they need special care. New Sensodyne Clinical Repair creates a protective shield over those exposed areas that can help repair sensitive areas of teeth after 60 seconds. I recommend Sensodyne Clinical Repair.
I'm an assistant principal at an intermediate school and a former softball and basketball coach. I'm also the father of 2 daughters. Keeping my students and children happy and safe is my top priority. But too many kids today are struggling, from stuff at home to falling behind in school and the overuse of devices. There are many factors contributing to the youth mental health challenge, and they should all be taken into account. We need comprehensive solutions that support parents and kids.
Arthritis causes pain in your joints. Unlike pills, Voltaren gel is applied to the site of pain, penetrating deep through the skin to the joint, reducing intense pain caused by inflammation so you can move more freely. Voltaren, clinically proven long-lasting arthritis pain relief.
At a high-stakes court hearing in Washington today, a federal judge indicated he's likely to side with Senator Mark Kelly in his battle with the Pentagon over the video recorded by him and other Democrats urging U.S. service members to refuse possible illegal orders. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has moved to reduce Kelly's last military rank, which would lower the pay he receives as a retired Navy captain and issue a letter of censure. Kelly alleges the administration is trying to squelch his First Amendment rights, and he joins us now. Senator, good to have you on. CNN is reporting that the judge at your hearing today told a Justice Department lawyer, quote, "You're asking me to do something the Supreme Court or the D.C. Circuit Court has never done. That's a bit of a stretch," end quote. How confident are you that the judge will ultimately rule in your favor?
Well, Anderson, I think the law is on our side. The Constitution is on our side. I was in court today for my constitutional rights, but beyond that, for the rights of millions of retired service members and millions, hundreds of millions of more Americans, where this administration thinks it's okay to violate people's constitutional rights, freedom of speech, freedom of the press. I'm not going to, speculate on, what the judge meant by anything he said or try to get in front of how he's going to rule. But I do really believe, and I feel there's a lot of support out there, for, my side of this issue, that the law is on our side and the Constitution is on our side.
If you're successful in federal court and Secretary Hegseth, he could still try to, or could he still try to go through military courts after you? Could he recall you to active duty and try to court-martial you?
He has said some wild things. In his censure letter to me, He said he's going to still watch what I say, and if they don't like it, they're going to prosecute me criminally. So he's made some threats. And these threats do not just affect me. I mean, there are folks that, Anderson, you have on your show all the time, right, that are retired admirals and generals to speak about issues that are important to the American people. If they are successful in punishing me for something I said that was lawful, it could, and I think it actually does, stifle the rights of those admirals and generals that are on your show, but millions of retired service members who currently have a right to speak out about the government, talk about things that they don't think is appropriate. That is a right we all have, and this administration doesn't like it.
I mean, it is remarkable that you fought for, and everybody fights for people's rights, for the rights that we have in this country, and yet the Secretary of Defense is attempting to silence you and to stop others, threatening others or warning others not to speak out, not to exercise those rights, which is one of the many things, one of the many incredible rights that you and others have fought for.
Yeah, you're right. I wore the uniform for 25 years, fighting for this country and the Constitution. And they're coming after me for one reason. They want to set an example to everybody else. And I think it even extends beyond retired. I mean, this goes to people who currently serve in the military, who have, First Amendment rights to speak out about issues, to say things. I've been thinking a lot about your former colleague, Don Lemon. He was doing his job, reporting to the American people about an issue that they should understand and they have a right to receive information on. And then suddenly he finds himself in jail, locked up, and now in a criminal process. That's what they threatened me with. And I've heard from retired service members, Anderson, who already have changed what they say because of how Pete Hegseth has gone after me. So that's why, and you probably heard me say this before, this isn't just about me. I'm just like the first one through the breach here that has to stick up for the rights of all of us. I was happy with how the proceeding went today. I'm not going to, try to get in front of the judge. I respect his position, and I look forward to hearing what he has to say about this case.
Senator Mark Kelly, thank you for your time. Powerful testimony on Capitol Hill today by the brothers of Renee Good, the 37-year-old mom who was shot to death by an ICE officer in Minneapolis nearly 1 month ago. Here's some of what Luke and Brent Ganger told lawmakers.
The prayers and words of support have truly brought us comfort, and it is meaningful that these sentiments have come from people of all colors, faiths, and ideals. That is a perfect reflection of Renee.
When I think of Renee, I think of dandelions and sunlight. Dandelions don't ask permission to grow. They push through cracks in the sidewalk, through hard soil, through places where you don't expect beauty, and suddenly there they are, bright, alive.
Also testifying today was Aaliyah Rahman, who was violently pulled out of her car by ICE agents in Minneapolis last month. It's hard to forget those images, just a couple of blocks from where Renee Good was killed. She tried to tell officers she was disabled. She was autism and a traumatic brain injury, was on her way to a medical appointment when they cut the seatbelt strap to grab her. She was detained, but said she was never told she was under arrest, never read her rights, never charged with a crime.
I received no medical screening, phone call, or access to a lawyer. I was denied a communication navigator when my speech began to slur. Agents laughed as I tried to immobilize my own neck. I asked for my cane and was told no, pulled up my arms and prodded forward in leg irons by agents laughing and saying, "Walk, you can do it, walk."
She also testified that she ended up in an emergency room after that experience. One man with a unique approach to putting pressure on the Trump administration to curtail ICE and its heavy-handed immigration tactics is Scott Galloway, a professor of marketing at NYU Stern School of Business and an influential podcaster. His solution is not protesting in the streets, or not protesting alone, but for Americans to protest with their wallets, unsubscribing from and boycotting products made by American giant tech companies. Scott Galloway is here to explain his plan. So, Scott, can you just explain what this resist and unsubscribe movement is?
It's an effort to sort of hit the president and the administration with a message that's not only right but effective. And that is, I think our secret weapon hiding in plain sight is that the president doesn't necessarily listen to the courts, to citizenry. What he listens to is the markets. And if you look at when he's pulled back from ideas around annexing Greenland, or when he's pulled back from tariffs, it's been when the bond market collapses or the S&P goes down. And if you look at the soft tissue of the market, it's around big tech and specifically subscription programs that are fueling big tech. And I'm trying to, or I think, Anderson, have come up with the soft tissue where we can have the greatest impact with the least amount of consumer interference. And that is maybe going from 2 or 3 subscription LLMs to 1, from 5 or 6 streaming platforms to 1, 2 ride-hailing programs to 1. But I think that the president and the people he surrounds himself with, specifically big tech leaders that now account for 40% of the market, that the best way to send a message is through the markets and specifically through big tech subscriptions by canceling or pausing.
Have you heard from any of the CEOs of companies that you're focusing on?
I've heard from about a third of them. They're very polite, they understand, and then they go on to say how upset they are about the president's programs, but that they can't speak publicly. And I'm empathetic to that. A good autocrat rewards his allies and punishes his enemies. So unless it's a collective action, unless they all speak together, I think it's going to be very hard for anyone to go first. But what I remind them is that in early 30s Germany, Hitler made a deal with the largest captive manufacturing industry that if they said nothing about his rise and what they sensed was a slow burn to fascism, that he would crush the trade unions and they would make a lot more money. And then when he rose to power, it was too late. And I think that is a decent or an apt analogy for what's going on here. And that is, according to the private text messages I get from these individuals, they do not like what's going on, but they're afraid to speak up. And also they see money at the end of the day. Notice how the tariffs do not affect these companies, that there's been carve-outs, that there's talk of all kinds of loans to backstop the incredible infrastructure expenses here. To believe that it could not happen here is naive to history. These folks are enabling what I believe is pretty depraved behavior, and it is time for CEOs to collectively speak up and say what they're saying privately, explicitly to the markets and to the president.
Lastly, President Trump is calling on Republicans to take over control of elections in states that he baselessly claims are rife with fraud. Jeff Tubin was on last night. He said it's not even a close call. It would be unconstitutional. Do you think this is a diversion from, he's trying to divert attention from Minneapolis and other places? Do you think this is a real concern?
I can't figure out which weapon of mass distraction is distracting us from what. Is it distracting us from the Epstein files? Is it distracting us from parents shot in the face 3 times, from ICU nurses taking care of veterans being shot 10 times, where their 2nd, 4th, and 10th Amendment rights, or 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 10th Amendment rights are violated within about 15 seconds? So distraction from distraction from distraction, and just on something quite mundane around elections. The reason we have decided to have 50 distinct electoral bodies and different technologies and methodologies for elections is such that we didn't have one system that could be hacked. So the idea of nationalizing elections is not only irrational and makes us less safe than ring fencing every single state with different technologies, but it's clearly an attempt to set us up for normalizing violence or government interference at the polls, and also to create a backdoor for a federal government to manipulate elections. I don't see what this has to do with immigration. So when Secretary Noem, after calling Alex Preddy a domestic terrorist and saying he was there to mask federal agents, then demanding the voter rolls, this all sounds very clear to me, Anderson. It feels like slowly but surely a total denial or overrun of our democracy and voting.
Scott Galloway, it's good to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you, Anderson.
Up next, what President Trump said late this afternoon about the Epstein files and how the latest batch has rocked Britain from Buckingham Palace to the House of Lords. We'll be right back.
The Tempur-Pedic Adapt mattress was designed to help make aches and pains a thing of the past, because only Tempur material eases your pressure points in a way no other mattress can. During our President's Day sale, save up to $500 on select adjustable mattress sets.
My car insurance bill doubled?
You should try Insurify. In just a few clicks, you can compare rates from dozens of insurance companies. And you could.
I just got the same coverage for half the price.
Hey, that's what I was going to say. Go to Insurify.com and save up to $1,000 a year on your car insurance.
Still dealing with moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease symptoms despite treatment? Put them in check with Rinvoq. Rinvoq works differently, and it's a once daily pill.
When symptoms try to take control, I got rapid relief with Rinvoq. Check.
Rinvoq helped visibly repair my intestinal lining. Check.
I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
Rapid symptom relief. Visible repair of the intestinal lining.
And lasting steroid-free remission. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin. Serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occur. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events, infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection. Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Your gut is like a garden, growing both good bacteria and bad. That balance is key to a healthy gut environment. Benefiber's plant-based prebiotic fiber gently nourishes the good bacteria, working with your body to help your gut and you flourish effortlessly every day. Grow what feels good with Benefiber.
We are living with AFibs, and over 500,000 of us have left blood thinners behind for life. We've cut our stroke risk and said goodbye to our bleeding worry with the Watchman implant. Watchman, it's one time for a lifetime.
I thought people exaggerated when they said shingles is a nightmare and the pain can last for weeks.
It wouldn't mean sleepless nights, right?
I didn't think I was at risk.
I was wrong. I didn't know that 99% of people over 50 already have the virus that causes shingles, and it could reactivate at any time.
I learned that the hard way.
But you don't have to. Talk to your healthcare provider today.
Alka-Seltzer Plus Gold with flu fizzy chews. Chew, fizz, feel better fast. No water needed. Alka-Seltzer Plus fizzy chews.
Look at Michaela attack that run. No doubt you can do the same, Stella.
Cut your bill in half with Xfinity Mobile. Try it free for a year, no commitment. Xfinity. Imagine that.
Hi, Bobby Crabtree with Colonial Toyota in Milford, Connecticut's #1 volume Toyota dealership. You know, when you're #1, you just got to stay on top of things. It was true then, and it's true today. Except that Colonial Toyota has grown to be the flagship of Crabtree Motor Group. Colonial Toyota in Milford, Crabtree Toyota in Watertown, Crabtree Nissan in Middlebury, Crabtree Lexus of New Haven, right next to Bobby Crabtree Chevrolet. At all the Crabtree dealerships, you don't just get a better deal, you get a better dealership. So why would you go anywhere else?
The source with Caitlin Collins, next on CNN.
At the White House late today, CNN's Caitlin Collins asked President Trump about the DOJ's release of more than 3 million documents in the Epstein files. Here's some of their exchange.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be
happy with the fact that they thought they released too much? And I heard that, and you tell me something else. I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else, really.
Well, the president of the White House today. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the Epstein files are raising new questions from Buckingham Palace to the House of Parliament. The latest tonight from CNN's Max Foster.
The Epstein files are rocking the British establishment. In the latest tranche of documents, these three undated photos appear to show the King's brother, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew, kneeling over what appears to be a woman or girl, whose face has been redacted, lying fully clothed and supine on the floor. It's unclear when or where the images were taken. No captions or context of the photographs was provided with the document release, and neither the photographs nor the email messages suggest any wrongdoing, but they are a further embarrassment for Mountbatten Windsor, who previously faced pressure to explain a 2001 photograph which showed him standing with Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's former girlfriend and a convicted child sex trafficker, and Virginia Giuffre, a prominent accuser of Epstein and Andrew, who died by suicide in April. Today, Mountbatten Windsor's brother, Prince Edward, telling CNN in Dubai,
I think it's really important always to remember the victims.
The King stripped Mountbatten Windsor of his royal titles in October and began the process to evict him from the royal estate of Windsor. Now, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has urged Mountbatten Windsor to testify before the US Congress. Meanwhile, the former prince's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, is back in the headlines for her links to Epstein. The latest files revealing emails she sent to Epstein after he was found guilty of soliciting a minor for prostitution in 2008, including one where she thanked him for being the brother I've always wished for. And in January 2010, she wrote, "You are a legend. I really don't have the words to describe my love, gratitude for your generosity and kindness. Kiss, kiss. I'm at your service. Just marry me." In another, she complained, "It was so crystal clear to me that you were only friends with me to get to Andrew, and that really hurt me deeply, more than you'll know." Ferguson was dropped last year as a patron or ambassador to several British charities, after earlier documents showed she had called Epstein her supreme friend. At the time, a spokesperson for Ferguson said she regretted her association with Epstein. On Monday evening, Ferguson's charitable foundation, Sarah's Trust, announced it will shortly close for the foreseeable future after some months of discussion, according to the UK's PA Media news agency. The UK's former ambassador to Washington, Lord Peter Mandelson, also dragged into deeper scandal in the latest release of Epstein files. He was fired from his post in September over the scandal when US lawmakers released a birthday book compiled for Epstein's 50th birthday in 2003, in which Mandelson penned a handwritten note describing the financier as "my best pal." The latest tranche of documents has revealed that in 2009, when Mandelson was business secretary, he appeared to leak a sensitive UK government document to the financier. They also show that Mandelson's partner, Reinaldo Avila da Silva, regularly received undisclosed payments from Epstein. A spokesperson for Mandelson told British media that neither the former ambassador nor da Silva has any record or recollection of receiving payments in 2003 and 2004, or know whether the documentation is authentic. Mandelson resigned from the Labour Party on Sunday and is set to quit the House of Lords on Wednesday. In his resignation, he apologised to the women and girls whose voices should have been heard long before now. CNN was unable to contact Mandelson for further comment. Max Foster, CNN London.
That's it for us. The news continues. The Source with Caitlin Collins starts now. See you tomorrow.
And we start with breaking news tonight as officials in Arizona say they're aware of possible ransom notes connected to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. This comes after the entertainment news outlet TMZ received what it says appears to be a note demanding payment in Bitcoin in exchange for her release. TMZ says they shared that note that they got with the authorities and that they've yet to hear whether or not they believe it's authentic or not. But it also comes as a local newsroom in Tucson says they too have handed over an unverified ransom note that they received here. I do want to stress as we come on the air tonight, both of these notes have not been verified by investigators at this hour. But what we do know is that Arizona officials have acknowledged they've seen these reports of the notes, and they are taking all tips and any leads very seriously as they continue to coordinate with the FBI. This frantic search for Guthrie has now entered its third day, as authorities have divulged little new information while also pleading with the public for help. The Los Angeles Times reports tonight that authorities found blood at Guthrie's home. Our sources didn't offer details as to who that blood belonged to or where exactly on the premises it was found. And during a press conference earlier today, the Pima County Sheriff declined to share specific details and candidly admitted to not having many answers to the reporters who were there.
So there was blood that was found inside the house and you're testing it for DNA. How much blood and where was it?
I'm not saying there's blood inside that house or outside that house.
Is there any indication so far as to whether this was a random abduction or targeted?
It's like I said earlier, we're looking at all the leads, and we don't know. We're going to assume both sides of that.
Do you believe that one or more than one person was involved in the kidnapping?
Just no clue. It could have been one. It could have been more. We've submitted all kinds of samples for DNA, and we've gotten some back, but nothing to indicate any suspect.
Any pedestrians in the neighborhood? I know you're looking at video, different surveillance cameras. Anything that we should be looking out, different cars?
I have nothing in that regard. We do believe that Nancy was taken from her home against her will, and that's where we're at.
We do know that investigation is very much still underway tonight as local investigators were conducting it by helicopter this evening. Our CNN crew caught this video from just outside Guthrie's home where she was taken on Saturday night. And it comes as a federal law enforcement source tells CNN that the U.S. Marshal Service, which is one of the most trained and capable federal agencies in finding victims and criminals, has yet to be asked to join this search. President Trump today weighed in on the ongoing investigation from the Oval Office earlier today.
Have you been briefed on Savannah Guthrie's mom missing in Arizona?
I think it's terrible.
Would you commit to more federal agents like helping out on the
Sure, I would. I'm going to call her later on. I think it's a terrible thing. I always got along very good with Savannah. Very unusual situation, but we're going to find out.
What we do know tonight is that this search for Guthrie is a race against time, as authorities say the consequences of her going without her daily medication could be dire. My lead source tonight is CNN's senior national correspondent Ed Lavendera. He's on the ground in Arizona, exactly where that search was happening earlier as the helicopter was flying overhead. Do we know any more about how the search is going tonight?
The sheriff's officials will only say that it was just part of the investigation, but it did stand out because we had not seen anything like that happen over the course of the last 24 hours or so. So it was significant, the helicopter making several passes over the course of about 30 minutes here late this afternoon. So that stood out because much of the area and the authorities have been saying that the search and the investigative work at the home had already been completed. So it was a little bit surprising to see them back out here like that in that way this afternoon. But we're listening to investigators. The clip you played of the montage of the press conference with investigators this afternoon really kind of speaks to the lack of information. Investigators simply saying, we do not know where Nancy Guthrie is. We do not have a suspect. And there's very little information. I'm going to play a little bit of how the call came over the radio here in Tucson when it was first discovered that Nancy Guthrie was missing.
We reference missing person PTSD at 5820 5020 Western Escalante. We reference Nancy, a white female, 84 years of age, 5 medium build, powder blue. Things after 22 hours of a yesterday. Nancy has high blood pressure, pacemaker, and cardiac issues.
So, Caitlin, 3 days into this investigation, into this search, investigators are still pleading with the public to send in any kind of videos, photos, anything that might provide some sort of clue that can help them find the lead that they need to find Nancy Guthrie.
Yeah, they're clearly asking for a lot of help. Ed, if you learned anything this hour, let us know. We'll bring you back here on air. Thanks for being there on the ground with us tonight. And also here tonight, I've got my CNN senior law enforcement correspondent, Josh Campbell, CNN's chief media analyst, Brian Stelter, and also our legal analyst, Joey Jackson, all here, and I'm grateful for all of your expertise tonight because, Josh, one thing, as you know, everyone has been so gripped by this case and following this story so closely, was when this was reported today that potentially there are ransom notes, and I should know we don't know yet if they're real or not. How do they determine if they're authentic? How do the authorities figure that out?
Well, as you note there, a healthy dose of caution is always in order whenever information like this comes to light. That's because in these high-profile cases, investigators will receive different buckets of information. Some information might be credible. Some information they're getting might be from people who are trying to do the right thing to help, but it has nothing to do with the case. And there are, quite frankly, shall we call them mischief makers or worse, that simply send in information that's trying to throw sand into the gears of an investigation. But authorities will be working to run this to ground to determine whether these are authentic. There are various ways that investigators can go through to determine authenticity. Kidnapping investigations in a past life. There are technical means that they can do that, which I won't get into. But if there are details that only the person who may have took Ms. Guthrie may have known, if that's included in the letter, that's obviously helping them kind of hone in and determine if this is actually authentic or not. I will tell you, I can predict that if they do indeed determine that there is a credible ransom note that comes in, I don't expect we're going to be getting real-time updates from authorities. Because in a case like this, if investigators actually open a line of communication to an abductor, that is treated so sensitively, so